Mother's Day. The one day every year when a mother waits, not for gifts, not for money, not for grand gestures, but for the simplest thing in the world, a visit, a hug, a few minutes of love. But that Mother's Day morning, my phone stayed silent. No messages, no missed calls, no knock on the door, just the sound of my old clock ticking and the tea cooling beside me. My name is Evelyn, a 62-year-old single mother who raised two children, Daniel and Mia, with nothing but hard work and sacrifice. Their father left when they were young, and I never remarried. I gave them everything I could, sometimes more than I had. I worked double shifts, skipped meals, and sold jewelry just to afford their school supplies. And every Mother's Day, no matter how busy they were, they would come home. But this time, nothing. I sat on the couch staring at the front door like it would magically open. I told myself, maybe they're stuck in traffic. Maybe they planned a surprise. Maybe they're on the way. But hours passed. Then the sun set, and I sat alone at my kitchen table with an untouched plate of food. That night, for the first time in years, I cried myself to sleep. The next morning, I woke up with swollen eyes and a heavy heart. I made myself tea and slowly walked toward the living room. And just then, my phone buzzed. My heart jumped. I grabbed the phone. A text message. But not a Mother's Day apology, not a "sorry mom, we missed yesterday," not even a voice note. It was from Daniel. "Hey mom, hope you're good. I need money urgently. Can you send $3,000 today? It's kind of important." I stared at the message like it was written in another language. Another buzz. Mia. "Mom, can I borrow $2,000? I'll pay back later. Love you." Love you? Love you? Yesterday, the one day designed for mothers, neither of my children bothered to even call. But today, the very next morning, they remembered I existed because they needed money. For a second, I felt anger rising in my chest. But then something inside me went calm. Too calm. I realized something painful but important. My children didn't forget Mother's Day. They only remember me when they need something. For years, I'd helped them with rent, emergencies, cars, weddings, you name it. But they never considered that their strong mother might also get tired, lonely, human. I placed my phone on the table, took a deep breath, and made a decision that would change everything. Not out of revenge, not out of anger, but because I needed to remind them of something they clearly forgot. I am their mother, not their ATM. I replied to Daniel first. "Come over. I'll discuss it with you." Then to Mia. "Yes, dear. Come home. I'll give you what you need." Within seconds, they both replied, "Okay," with relief. Relief. Like money was guaranteed, that they had no idea what was waiting for them. Daniel arrived first. He walked in wearing expensive sneakers and holding a takeaway latte. The same boy I raised alone with secondhand clothes and coupons was now living a lifestyle far beyond his means. "Mom," he said casually, kissing my cheek. "Sorry I couldn't come yesterday. Things were crazy. You know how life is." I smiled softly. "Oh, I understand," I said. "Sit, have breakfast." He sat down, scrolling his phone like always. 5 minutes later, Mia arrived, hair perfectly styled, wearing branded clothes. She walked in with a cheerful voice. "Mom, I missed you. Sorry about yesterday. I had things." Yes, things. Both of them had things, but not one thing included their mother. They sat at my dining table, chatting to each other, laughing, scrolling on phones. They didn't even notice my swollen eyes. Finally, I said, "I'm glad you both came. I have something to tell you." They looked at me, finally paying attention. "Before I give you the money, I want to show you something." I stood up, walked into my bedroom, and retrieved a small wooden box. Their eyes widened. "What's that?" Daniel asked. "A memory," I said. I placed the box gently on the table, opened it, and removed a stack of old receipts, bills, and photos. "What is all this?" Mia frowned. "This," I said, "is everything I sacrificed for you. Rent receipts from years I could barely afford, the bills I paid for you, the debts I cleared, the days I skipped meals so you could eat, the nights I worked overtime so you could go to school. Both of them went silent. I continued, "And this," I said, holding up a Mother's Day card handmade with crayons, "is the last card either of you made for me when you were little." Their expressions softened. "Mom," Daniel whispered. "No," I said gently but firmly. "Listen." I took a deep breath. "Yesterday was Mother's Day. I waited all day. I sat alone. Not a message, not a call, not even an emoji. You remembered me today, though," you smiled, "because you needed money." Silence. Thick, shame-filled silence. For the first time, they looked at me, not as a background character in their busy lives, but as a mother who had quietly carried them their whole life. Then I said the words they never expected. "And that's why today I have a surprise for you both." Their heads lifted. "A surprise?" Mia asked. "Yes," I said, "but not the kind you're hoping for." I reached into the box again and pulled out 2 envelopes. They both immediately leaned forward, thinking the envelopes had money. But instead, inside each envelope was a letter from me to them, written last night when I could not sleep. Daniel opened his first, and as soon as he read the first line, his mouth fell open. Then Mia opened hers and gasped. Both of them stared at me with shock, because inside the letter was something neither of them ever anticipated. Something that would shake their hearts, change our relationship forever, and teach them a lesson they would never forget. Daniel's hands trembled as he unfolded the letter. Mia swallowed hard before reading hers. I watched them, my grown children, sitting at my dining table like 2 guilty teenagers who just got caught sneaking out. For the first time in years, they were quiet. Inside each envelope was a different letter, handwritten in simple ink on plain white paper. But it wasn't the paper or the ink that shocked them. It was the truth written inside. Daniel's letter. He began to read aloud, his voice barely above a whisper. "My son, I raised you to be strong, responsible, and kind. But somewhere along the way, you learned to take without giving. You come to me whenever you're in trouble, but you forget me when you're fine. I don't need large gifts or money or luxury. I only need what every mother needs: a moment of love, a call, a visit. Yesterday was Mother's Day. All I wanted was 10 minutes of your time. Not money, not favors, just presence. Today you remembered me because your bank balance reminded you. I will always be your mother. I will always love you, but I cannot let you treat me like a machine that gives out money when a button is pressed. If you truly need help, show me that you also value me when you don't need anything. Mom." By the time he finished, Daniel's eyes were red. He wiped his face quickly, embarrassed to cry. Mia was already crying before she reached the second paragraph. She read hers silently, but I knew every word in that letter too. "My daughter, you are smart, caring, and capable. I raised you to treat others with kindness, especially family. But recently, your love comes with conditions. You visit only when you need something. You hug me only when you want me to say yes. Yesterday, I waited the entire day. I made your favorite dessert and sat by the door. Every sound made me think you had arrived, but neither of my children remembered me. It broke my heart more than I can explain. If you truly need my help today, I want you to remember something very important. A mother's heart is not a bank account. You cannot withdraw love without depositing time, respect, and care. I love you deeply, but I am hurting, and I need you to see me as a human being. Mom." Mia covered her face with both hands and sobbed. The silence after the truth. They sat there silently, unable to look at each other, unable to look at me. Finally, Daniel spoke in a shaky voice. "Mom, we didn't realize. We didn't think." He choked on his words.
Mia reached for my hand, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I feel terrible. I didn't know you were alone yesterday." Her voice cracked, and she broke down again. I touched her hand gently. "It's not about one day," I said softly. "It's about the pattern. I raised you with love, but I didn't raise you to forget me." Daniel placed his hands on the table and leaned forward. "Mom, please, give us a chance to fix this. I swear I won't ignore you again." Mia nodded. "Me too, we promise." I smiled faintly. "I believe you," I said, "but a promise is not enough. You need to show it." They both nodded eagerly. But the surprise wasn't over. I leaned back in my chair and said, "There is something else I need to tell you both." They tensed up. "Another surprise?" Daniel asked carefully. "Yes," I said, folding my hands on the table. "A big one." The financial truth they never expected. "I know both of you came today expecting money," I began. They lowered their eyes. "And in the past, I always helped. I always said yes. I always gave, even when I didn't have enough for myself." They both nodded guiltily. "But not today." Their heads lifted immediately. "Mom?" asked Mia, her voice panicked. "You're not getting the money today," I said calmly. "Not because I want to punish you, but because I need you to understand something you've ignored for years." "What?" Daniel breathed. I took a deep breath. "I am not rich," I said. "I am not hiding savings. I am not secretly comfortable." Their faces went pale. "What do you mean?" Mia whispered. "I mean," I said slowly, "I have been living paycheck to paycheck for years. I have cut down my own needs to help you both. And yesterday, when I sat alone, I realized something important. I've been giving you money I should have saved for my own future." Daniel looked stunned. "But Mom, we always thought you were okay." "I wasn't. I just didn't tell you because I didn't want you to worry." Their guilt deepened. "So," I continued, "I decided something last night." They waited. "I decided to stop giving money so easily. If you truly need help, I need to see effort, responsibility, respect, not just requests." Daniel exhaled shakily. "Mom, I don't need the money anymore. I can figure something out. I shouldn't have asked you." Mia nodded. "Me too. I can manage. I shouldn't have expected you to solve my problems." I gave a small smile. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. But then came the real shock. I stood up, walked to the side table, and returned with another envelope, this time a long yellow one. They stared at it anxiously. "Mom, what is that?" Daniel asked. "This," I said calmly, placing it on the table, "is the biggest surprise of all." They held their breath. Inside that envelope was something that would change their view of me, their view of themselves, and their view of what it truly means to value a mother. Slowly, I slid the envelope towards them. "Open it," I said. Both of them reached for it with trembling hands. They pulled out the papers, and as their eyes scanned the words, their mouths fell open. Shock, confusion, disbelief. Daniel looked at me like I had just told him water wasn't wet. Mia covered her face with both hands, completely stunned. "Mom, this can't be real," Daniel said. "Is this true?" Mia whispered. I nodded. Daniel and Mia sat frozen, gripping the papers from the yellow envelope like they were holding lightning. Neither of them blinked. Neither of them breathed. They just stared, confused and speechless. Finally, Daniel managed to whisper, "Mom, you got accepted into a retirement home?" Mia shook her head rapidly. "No, this can't be right. Mom, why would you do this? Why would you apply to live in a home?" I let out a slow breath and took a seat again. "This isn't sudden," I said softly. "I've been planning it for months." Their jaws dropped further. "Mom?" Mia almost shouted. "You're only 62. You don't need to live in a retirement home." Daniel leaned forward, panic flooding his voice. "Mom, why didn't you tell us? Why would you even consider something like this?" I looked at both of them with calm, gentle eyes. "Because," I said, "I needed to understand what my future would look like, with or without you." They froze again. I clasped my hands together. "You two have your own lives, your own jobs, your own priorities, and that's perfectly normal. I don't expect you to live with me or take care of me every day." They swallowed hard. "But," I continued, "as I watched both of you become busier and more distant, I began to worry." "Worry about what?" Daniel asked quietly. "Worry that when I am older," I said, "I will be alone. I worry that the same silence I experienced this Mother's Day will become a regular part of my life." Mia burst into tears again. "Mom, no, we would never leave you alone. We love you." I smiled sadly. "Love is not the problem," I said gently. "It's attention, it's effort, it's presence. You love me, but you forget me, and forgetting hurts just as much as abandonment." They both lowered their heads in shame. "So yes," I continued, "I applied to a retirement home to prepare myself, not because I want to leave, but because I needed a backup plan." Daniel rubbed his forehead, overwhelmed. "I can't believe you did all this without telling us. We didn't know you felt so lonely." "That's the point," I replied softly. "You didn't know because you weren't here to see it." I reached into the envelope again and pulled out another paper, this time a medical report. Their expressions turned fearful. "Mom, what's that?" Mia asked, her voice shaking. I hesitated for a moment. This was the hardest part. Then I placed the medical paper on the table. "I didn't plan to hide this forever, but I needed to tell you in a way that you'd truly listen." Mia leaned forward, hands trembling as she picked up the report. Her eyes scanned the page, then they widened, then filled with tears. Daniel grabbed it from her, his breath catching as he read. "Mom, you have high blood pressure?" he said shakily. "Not just high, but dangerously high." He looked like someone had punched him. "Why didn't you tell us?" he demanded, emotional. "We would have helped." I looked at him slowly. "Would you have?" I asked. His mouth opened, then closed. He knew the answer. "I didn't want to become a burden, and I didn't want to force my problems on children who barely had time for me." Mia sobbed harder. "Mom, you're not a burden. We were just caught up in things." "Yes," I said gently, "and I don't blame you. Life is busy. But one day I won't be here, and I don't want my last years to be filled with silence, loneliness, or waiting for calls that never come." Daniel wiped his eyes aggressively, trying to hide the tears. "Mom, we messed up. We messed up badly." I placed a hand on his. "I didn't show you this to blame you. I showed you because I wanted you to understand that mothers are not immortal. We don't stay strong forever. We get tired. We get sick. We get lonely." I stood up, walked to the kitchen counter, and returned with 2 small containers. "What's that?" Daniel asked. "These," I said, "are my medications, 3 types, twice a day." I shook the bottles gently. "Do either of you know how long I've been taking these?" They exchanged helpless looks. Mia whispered, "Mom, we don't know." I nodded. "That's the problem. You don't know because you never asked." Daniel's shoulders slumped in guilt. I thought you were okay. You always acted strong. I acted strong so you wouldn't worry. But acting strong doesn't mean I wasn't breaking inside. I sat back down. Let me ask you something, I said softly. When was the last time either of you spent more than 10 minutes with me without checking your phone? Silence. When was the last time you called me just to talk, not to ask for something? More silence. When was the last time you came over simply because you missed me? Both of them cried silently. I don't say this to hurt you. I say it because I needed you to see the truth. Daniel suddenly pushed his chair back and stood up, pacing the room like he was lost. I can't believe we let it get this bad. Mom, you deserve better. You deserve everything. Mia wiped her face and came closer, kneeling beside my chair. Mom, please cancel the retirement home application, she begged. We'll come more often. We'll spend time with you. We'll call you every day. I smiled warmly, but didn't respond immediately. Daniel sat back down, shaking. Mom, we'll take care of you. I promise. This won't happen again. Mia nodded rapidly. We'll make sure you're never alone on Mother's Day ever again. But there was one more twist left. I looked at both of them quietly. There's something else I need to tell you. Their faces tightened with concern. Something even bigger? Daniel asked. Yes, I said. I took a deep breath and revealed the next piece of truth, the one that would completely change the direction of this story. Something they never expected, something that shook the ground beneath their feet. I whispered, It's about your father. Both of them snapped their heads up. Our father? Yes, I said calmly, and the truth may change everything you thought you knew about him. Their bodies stiffened, their eyes widened, their hearts raced. Mom, Daniel whispered, what about Dad? I slowly leaned closer. It's time, I said softly, for you to finally know who he really was.